Welcome to the Thicc Spooky Ghouls Podcast, where we discuss all things strange, paranormal, and unexplained.
These episodes are live recorded on Twitch and cut to fit Spotify's format. If you want to catch us live, we do our podcast once a month on Twitch.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully you guys can hear me just fine. Yeah, welcome in, everybody. I'm excited to have you guys come back. I hope you guys enjoyed our topic so far. We covered Cat Goddess Bastet in the very beginning of this, and then we had Birdie cover the Salem witch trials. And now we get to go and hear about another great witch by our amazing Miso. Let me go check in there and see if they've already come back. If not, you guys will just have to talk to me a little bit longer. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are doing great. And I hope you guys are having a good time. Hopefully you guys got up and grabbed some water or something. And I hope you guys are enjoying listening to the story. Why are you upset, baby?
This fly, as soon as now there's a train. No, there's a train. As soon as I go to kill this fly, now I can't find him. And I know as soon as I sit here for a second, he's going to start buzzing my ass again. It's driving me crazy. I hate it. He's disrupting my peace.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Train.
The train has to make a show in the podcast. You know this. The train truly believes.
It's literally a guess at this point.
The train truly believes that you are, you are inviting it to be a part of the podcast. It's just culture now. It's just the culture of our podcast. We have trains sometimes in the background, or people in our house that are gaming, talking loudly. So
I've returned.
Welcome
back, Birdie. All right.
I apologize. I was getting dihydrogen monoxide.
Oh, that's
you
good.
needed it.
All right. Are we ready? I'm so excited. So this is a witch that I don't know. I know about, but don't know about. It's weird because I know, like, yeah, let's just go. All I know is
might be the better term, but okay.
But yes, I know that. Yes. I know some parts of her, but I don't know how much of my stuff has become like they took her and then added a bunch of like fiction, or if it's fact. So, yeah, I'd like to hear your historical review, or just what's the word I'm looking for? Your perspective.
Perspective.
I got it.
My
Perspective.
porpoise.
Your perspective after your research. So not changed by some story in the book as a sub-character,
right,
or some story in a movie as a sub-character, so
that
they can change their powers around. All right, so I will shut up now. I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm good. I'm going to shut up.
You're perfect. You stop it. So, today I'm going to be covering, now, it wouldn't be me if I didn't botch the pronunciation of things, so that's going to happen. Apologies in advance. It's just who I am. I can't pronounce things. I can barely speak English. It took me a long time to be able to do that, and I was born here speaking the language, so, you know. But, you know, that's just classic Miso, so I can barely say my own name, as you can see. So, I'm covering Morgan LeFay. And again, stick with me. There's a lot of lore that I had to go through because she has been changed and like adapted in a lot of different ways. There's multiple versions of her. I'll talk about that a little more. There's spectrums, and there's a lot that has been done with her.
Like I said.
So I tried to condense it. Yeah, it's a lot.
Like I said.
So I compressed it.
But yeah.
And when I do research, I went to a lot of different sources, you know, specific sources for her, Wikipedia, other lore-based websites that discuss her, and I kind of took from every little bit, so I try to compress it and, you know, speak on it how I understood it. So, you know, bear with me. But Morgan LeFay, and I feel like Kate, our honorary Thicc Spooky Ghoul, would probably knows plenty about Morgan, and also
of
probably
course.
enjoys her like I do.
Oh yeah.
because this is a Celtic thing. But Morgan Le Fay was an extremely powerful witch in literary history. And honestly, badass bitch icon. Love her. As I learned about her, because I was looking, because I knew that, Birdie was doing the Salem witch trials. You were doing, but I can't pronounce the
Bastet.
name.
Bastet.
Actually, can I?
Um,
I'll tell you guys in the Ghoulish
No, go ahead.
Bites. No, I'll tell you in the Ghoulish Bites. It's
note it. So, as a matter of fact, there's few witches that have been as influential on the witches as a whole in, like pop culture and history in general as
yeah.
Morgan Le Fay.
Oh yeah.
Now, to be clear, she was not a real person. This is a mystical icon.
She's from
But
mythology. She's mythology.
Yes, super influential nonetheless.
Oh yeah.
Morgan Le Fay, her name meant fairy, Morgan the Fairy. She is depicted as an immortal healer and ruler of the island of Avalon, a mystical island in Arthurian legend, King Arthur. This island was also known as the Isle of Apples or the Isle of Glass. She's known as the arch, and she's also known as, so either she's depicted as an amazing, super smart, beautiful healer, incredibly powerful, gifted healer, or as the arch villainess of the Arthurian legends.
Yep. King Arthur.
And yep, but say it goes both ways, good and bad, and it got split along the way, which I will, touch base on there. But for over 900 years, she shaped popular perception of witchcraft as a powerful force connecting women, magic, and the natural world, or as a poster child for misogynistic visions of women who are out of control, mad, and dangerous from the use of magic. And I thought that this was just so perfect for what we were talking about. And again,
For the climate today.
what's happened. Yeah, exactly. And on that subject, just to deter for a second, definitely, topical for today, but it's a pendulum. There's a pendulum that we don't see where it swings between, acceptance and extremism. And we are swinging back to the extreme, right? We started swinging towards like, maybe we should be more accepting of people. Maybe we should open our hearts to people. But the pendulum has always been there. And the boot has always been on the backs of those who are not understood, women, people that are part of the LGBTQIA, everything. People of color, the boot has always been there. The pendulum just swings, right? But I will spiral. I will start ranting. But Morgan Le Fay has a mixed. Her history is a mixture of Celtic mythology and legend. She first appeared in the writings in writing in 12th century, but was likely based off of much older Celtic folklore and mythology. She's been linked to figures like Morrigan, Morrigan,
The Morrigan.
not
The
Morgan.
Morrigan.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the Morrigan.
Yes. The Phantom Queen of Irish mythology, and Mary Morgans of Breton folklore, who acted much like a siren and would lure sailors to their doom. Now, the most direct influence, however, was likely Mordaunt, the divine mother goddess of ancient Gael of Welsh mythology, connected to King Arthur's court.
Can I just say something real quick? You said more Dawn.
Absolutely.
My brain heard more Dawn and immediately started thinking of Power Rangers, like Zordon. And I'm just like, hey, hold on, is that where they got the name from?
My God. Sorry, 1 second. Of course, as soon as my topic comes up, I get a frog in my throat.
It's okay. I was coughing halfway through like most of mine.
It's the sinuses, man. Absolutely wrecking me today.
I was delusional throughout mine, so.
you get
good.
really passionate, right? And then like you just
I get
it's
lost.
enveloping. Really,
Yeah.
it really can be. Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
So Morgan's story began to build in writing at least in the 12th century when she first appeared in the writings of Geoffrey of Monmouth's Vita Merlin's writing the Morgan of Vita or Life of Merlin. She appears as a renowned healer and scholar, one of 9 ethereal sisters living in a mystical island of Avalon. She's the best and most powerful, sorry. Goodness. But she is the best and most powerful of the 9 ethereal sisters. She was absolutely known for her beauty, her skill in mathematics, and the ability to shapeshift. So she's very smart. She was very beautiful. She was powerful. She could heal. She was that bitch. Her powers are otherworldly and make her an essential key to the story of Arthur. Morgan's knowledge and power are the only thing that can restore a mortally wounded Arthur, and her skills offer the best hope for the future of Britain. She takes Arthur to the island of Avalon after he Battle of Comlon. Go ahead.
You muted for you muted for a millisecond there. So repeat that last word or the last sentence you said, maybe.
So, her knowledge and her power are the only thing that can restore a mortally wounded Arthur after he's wounded in the Battle of Comlon.
Okay.
She takes him to the island of Avalon, where she is the ruler. At least in this version, she is the ruler. And just to give you a visual of Morgan Le Fay in no particular order, if you don't mind pulling them up.
Oh yeah. You got it. I'm a little Your mic is it muted for a second there, so I'm just if you want to just double check your
No,
connection.
you're all right. Hopefully it's
hopefully it's fine, but I'm just
good to
having
go
you double
now.
check your thing. Okay,
Mhm.
so we've got the pictures here.
And the gentleman you can see in a lot of these, that's Arthur, and these are the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these are in no particular order. I just grabbed a bunch of different ones because there was just so freaking many different ones. So
She was very popular.
she was incredibly popular. She still is in this specific space.
Every rendition I've seen her in movies, I've liked every single rendition. I I like her a lot.
She's also been known as the Queen of Fae.
Of the fairies, yeah.
Yep.
Which is interesting because that title also goes to a fae by the name of Queen Titania.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know about who that.
Titania
is.
is known as the Queen of the Fairies, but there is some connection that Morgan is Titania. There is something in
Interesting.
the books
Okay.
that says that she is that, and that's how she became. I don't know where it started, but she kind of just merged into the goddess, or into the to the fairy queen, and so she kind of just gets known as that. But yeah, Tatiana is, I guess, supposed to be Morgan. I can't remember where it joins, but yeah, we need to. Yeah, Titania.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a
And,
connection.
and that doesn't surprise me because
there's
she
a
has
connection.
been.
Yeah.
I looked it up. Titania was first mentioned in William Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream.
And that's funny because I didn't put it into this, but because there's just so many different things. But Morgan was also, I think, mentioned in some of his works as well. So it does not surprise me that she's either been, combined with Titania, or that they're, mashed together from the same vine. There doesn't surprise me at all. But because again, her likeness and like her influence has been huge in the sense of like different lore.
Yep.
So from her powerful beginnings, Morgan's perception began to be warped, which is super unfortunate. And in the writings of Cretan de Troyes, the influential 12th century poet, His story of Morgan is that she's still a powerful healer, but she's no longer the sole ruler of Avalon, but instead she's the lover of the ruler of Avalon.
Oh my
And
god.
then it just kind of starts spiraling from there.
Well, I say that because one of the films that I remember watching growing up is Mist of Avalon, and
Yep.
yeah, her depiction in that is a whole different level than anything else I've seen her
There's
in.
a
But I still
lot of
liked
them
her.
that are
But
wild. Yeah.
I grieved for her watching Mist of Avalon and seeing her journey and how she came to be where she was. I grieved for her. I kind of understood her complexity because of Mist of Avalon, because at first you're just like, oh, until you like take it from her perspective and how it must have felt like, and you're just like, oh God, you know? So carry on.
Absolutely. And I bet say actually I'm pretty sure the Mist of Avalon, don't know, I don't remember if I put it in here, but I definitely saw it be mentioned. She's been in a lot of different like writings and films and TV shows and
She
just
was
a
in
ton.
Merlin, the TV show, of course, and
Yes, she
the
was in,
actress
oh my
that they
gosh.
hired for her is stunning. I can't remember her name right now, but
So
she's the one that gets
that's
ripped
the
up by
one,
pterodactyls in Jurassic Park.
oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I know she's also played in, I don't remember what the name of the show is, but she's played by someone that was in Penny Dreadful. Can't remember her name, but she's the main actress in Penny Dreadful, which is a very good show. If you've not seen it, it's like old school monsters with a twist. It's very good. And actually, Volger, my husband, is playing a game. What is that called, babe? Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, which is ironic because when I started this research, he had just picked up this game. It's a brand new game that just came out. I had no idea it had anything to do with Avalon. I literally was like, what subject am I going to do? I want to do something related to what everyone else is doing. And I came across her and was like, oh, it's badass. And he started telling me that he's playing this. And I was like, you've got to tell me. There's no way that she's not going to be brought. It's literally a tale of Merlin and Arthur and all that
Yeah,
thing.
she's gonna be there.
Avalon.
She's gonna
Yeah,
be
she's going to
there.
be there.
Yeah.
So I need to know. I'm like, you've got to tell me how they portray her in this. I'm really hoping it's not
Well, throughout
as evil, but
throughout any stories, there is literally like a 50-50 that she is good or evil.
yes.
Like throughout
Yes,
all of
absolutely.
the like
Oh yeah.
she is constantly like, oh, she's good in this one. Oh, she's bad in this one. And
Or a mix of both.
Yes. Well, there's a lot where she starts as good, but begins to be twisted by knowledge, power, and jealousy.
and her fate and what she has
Yeah.
had to go through to get to her
Oh.
journey. So yeah, for sure.
There's also the version in the live action British TV show Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
where she's
Yes.
just like a teenage girl that is just kind of related to Arthur. Like not Arthur, but like kind of related to like I'm forgetting his name. The guy
Merlin?
that no no
God, no.
no, is it Arthur?
No,
Arthur, there is a lot where she's related
well,
to him. So
she's like
maybe.
she's half siblings with Arthur is a very
Yeah.
common thing
Yeah.
for her.
Yes.
Like she's a
And
half
so-
sibling with Arthur.
Mm-hmm. But I was like, you've got to tell me how they depict, because even in some of her depictions where she's an evil sorceress, I still think she serves. Absolutely serves.
Like I said,
Like-
everything,
Oh, yeah.
every depiction of her I have liked. I just love her. I do. I do. I love her. Like no matter what she's in, I'm like, she's a bad guy in this one. That's okay. I
Yes.
love her. Good guy in this one. I love her. It's fine. So
She's just
My-
a bad bitch is gonna bad bitch. I mean, honestly.
respect.
My very first like interaction with the idea of like Morgan LeFay was from a book series for children called The Magic Treehouse, which the entire premise is that these two kids find a magic treehouse that sends them hurtling through time and space. And they have to like find a thing in a random time period to help somebody.
That sounds incredibly familiar.
She reveals herself after like 4 books and is just like, hi, I'm Morgan LeFay. And the kids are just like, aren't you supposed to be evil? And she's just like, don't believe everything you read.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Very
Very
save
twisted
Merlin.
perception.
Like
Well, I love that you chose her, because the thing with her is that she was a divider. She was the in between the super Christian religion and paganism. She was like,
yes.
she was the like, depending on her fate and Arthur's fate will determine which becomes the dominant and
And
forgotten, you know?
and with Christianity, uh you definitely see, and I will touch more on this as we go on, but the way she's perceived gets a lot more warped as Christianity becomes more
Of course,
encroaching
she's a
on
woman.
everything.
Of
Yes,
course, she's a
exactly.
woman.
I will touch more on that as well.
Like I
Because
said, I have so
boy
much that
howdy.
I'm holding that I'm just like, if we go at it at Ghoulish Bites might go on a long time, because I got
So yeah,
issues. I got issues, babe. I got issues.
they're all fair and valid, to be fair. So, but yeah, in the 12th century, Morgan was said to be Arthur's supernatural elder sister. But in the
Yeah.
13th century, works like La Morte d'Arthur described her as the youngest daughter of Arthur's mother, Igraine, and her first husband, Gorlos. Again, I can't pronounce things, guys. I'm so sorry. Making Morgan his half sister, as his father was Uther Pendragon.
Pendragon. Mm-hmm.
Uther
Yeah.
Pendragon.
Yep. And she
And
was unhappily married to Urian, the son, and has a son,
Yeah.
Yvonne. And then she becomes the apprentice of Merlin, an adversary to some of the knights of the Round Table. She's also
Mm-hmm.
harbors hatred for Arthur's wife,
Guinevere.
Genevieve.
Guinevere.
Yes.
Guinevere.
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 Guinevere. Yeah.
Because Guinevere was having an affair with Lancelot.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
liked
Yeah.
Lancelot. So it
Yep.
was like
It was like a
Guinevere.
love square of
Yeah, it was
hate.
bad because
Oh, we touch on that.
Guinevere,
Yep.
she's actually like the reason Guinevere's womb gets cursed and all that stuff, and that's why there's
Mhm.
with the story Arthur, the story of Arthur, the spicy parts
Mhm.
of that story. But with Guinevere and Lancelot, like Morgan was like there was a connection between Morgan and Lancelot, and then Guinevere comes in and just takes Lancelot, and then not only is she taking the guy that Morgan is attracted to and interested in and wants, but she's not only like just cheating on her half brother with said
Yep.
guy that she is in love with. It's ooh, it gets bad. It gets
Yeah, it's a
real
mess.
bad. They don't like
And in some
Guinevere.
versions,
See,
and then in some versions of the story, Lancelot is kind of just doing it because he wants to get with Arthur, and Arthur's just like, I have to remain straight, painfully
Yes.
so.
well, especially again, Christianity is encroaching hella hard. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's really starts twisting things up. But in this story, Morgan takes numerous lovers that may have included Merlin and Accolon, but she was also like you said, very much in love with Lancelot. Hence her hatred and jealousy for
Guinevere.
Guinevere. Can't pronounce the name. Guinevere. I keep wanting to say Genevieve.
No, I feel you.
It's probably,
Now
to be honest, Genevieve's roots probably roots all the way back to Guinevere.
Guinevere, yeah,
If
it's
we
very
look it up, it
similar.
could be.
But say it's the G and the V. It's all I need for my brain to make non-connection connections.
Gavee.
The G and the V.
Guinevere.
Guinevere.
Gavivy.
Have your
But
parents ever
other
told you
French
the
writers.
G's and the V's?
Sorry.
I was saying, have your parents ever taught you the G's and the V's?
Oh, the G's and the V's. I don't know how to pronounce them. So, other French writers go on to treat her knowledge of magic and magical arts with disdain and suspicion. In one popular iteration in the Vulgate cycle, Morgan begins her life in a nunnery where her quest for knowledge pushes her into studying healing, astronomy, and magical arts. Unlike stories where her witchcraft is linked to healing and creation, in Vulgate, she uses her witchcraft to further her hatred and jealousy. She becomes entangled in a love triangle with Queen Guinevere, Arthur's wife, and her adulterous lover, Lancelot. Morgan, again, being in love with Lancelot. So
Of
that makes her real
course.
pissed off.
Of course.
And Morgan's jealousy leads her to try to expose the queen and Lancelot's affair. In later works, inspired by the Vulgate, Morgan sends a chastity-revealing horn in an attempt to expose this adulterous affair, but it just doesn't pan out. She even goes as far as to create an otherworldly shadow realm called the Valley of No Return, in which she traps Lancelot at least 3 times. So, maybe it's more the Valley of mostly no return.
The
A
Valley
little
of
bit of returning.
please don't come back.
Let's say, you stay right there, you son of a bitch, But boy howdy, he just keeps on wiggling out. She just cannot trap Lancelot, no matter what she does. So with these stories, Morgan's image begins to transform. Though still associated with healing a lot of the time, literature links her beauty and her power with dangerous instability. Her beauty, which originally in Vita was a reflection of inner creativity and goodness, is transformed into a sign of sexuality run amok. Being increasingly depicted as promiscuous and prone to jealousy, her power, which originally had been the only hope for Arthur in the future of Britain, becomes a form of corruption and darkness. Because of course it does. Of course it does.
Not that this was
Women
written
can't
by
be
some
smart.
white
Yeah.
Christian believing
No.
men that says, "Oh no, we gotta
Beautiful,
villainize this character because we can't make them
beautiful,
appealing."
smart, powerful women cannot be a good influence. No,
So
they have to be
therefore
twisted into something bad. Yes, because it encourages women to learn and to embrace sexuality
So they
instead of
demonize
shunning it.
So they
Yes,
demonize her.
exactly. Yep, exactly. Writers began depicting her as a central threat to Camelot and the world, as she tries to kill Arthur and his knights through demonic monster servants, deadly seductions, and elaborate plots like one involving the Green Knight, who was a large green-cladded figure. Morgan has said Green Knight go to Arthur's court and propose a challenge, where anyone can strike him with an axe, but must also in return accept the same blow themselves in a year's time. Now, Sir Gawain, King Arthur's nephew, accepts the challenge and he beheads the Green Knight. To Gawain and Arthur's surprise, everyone in the court's surprise, the Green Knight then picks up his head and reminds Gawain of their agreement. You must take the same blow in a year, telling him to meet him at the Green Chapel in a year's time. Then he rides away. Gawain travels to the Green Chapel, where he encounters a Lord Sir Bertolock de Hauser.
You got this, babe.
Sir Bertolack. I'm just gonna call him Bertolack.
Okay.
I got that hick accent. We're just gonna do that. But he then battles the Green Knight. It has been a year. He travels this Green Chapel and battles the Green Knight.
Yep.
He's struck 3 times. 2 blows are deterred by Gawain, but the third grazes his neck, but it doesn't kill him. It is then revealed that the Green Knight is the same Lord of the Castle, Sir Bertolack. And the Green Knight also reveals that these blows were a test of Gawain's courage, loyalty, and chivalry, which he passes these tests and is allowed to live. I want to give a little bit of information on that because I thought it was interesting.
Allowed to live now.
Yeah, you're chivalrous. You stuck to your agreement. You came here. You fought me like a man. You get to live, right? You did all the things I wanted from. I will let you live. And Morgan doesn't love this. Her whole goal of sending him to Arthur's court was to embarrass him. It was to show his people were weak. He was weak. She wanted to embarrass him. Didn't work out that way. and to scare them, obviously. You cut someone's head off and they pick it up. It's kind of freaky. But almost contradictorily, Morgan Le Fay is almost always shown as the final person entrusted with a dead or dying Arthur. For some reason, she's always the one that ends up with him. Whether or not she's good or evil, she's almost always the one who ends up with him when he is dead or dying. Now, some people look at this from perspective of the Fae, which in Celtic and British folklore were otherworldly and incredibly powerful creatures. And some think similarly like the Fae, Morgan's witchcraft had simply gotten too powerful, too otherworldly, and could not be confined to human logic. And saving a person who you've spent years, almost your whole life, trying to kill is a very Fae thing to do. Very Fae of her. Others say, and in some stories, say that it's because she chose to forgive him. Like, again, in a lot of stories, that's her brother, that's her half brother, that's her sibling. And she finds, when she finds him dying, when he's brought to her dying, and they are like, hey, he's going to die, she chooses to forgive him and take him to a final peaceful rest. Now, this is where we're going to get into the misogyny bits. More than likely, her image was warped over time by misogyny.
Of course.
Exactly. And it follows historically. And this is not just, I'm a girl power. It's quite literally historical. It's how it is. It's how it has almost always been. There's a lot of reasons that, for instance, The Handmaid's Tale was made based off of real thing. Okay. That is not all fiction. That is all things based off of real events.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. All right. I'm just saying. Knowledge is power. And when you want to keep certain people down, in this instance, women, them having power, them having freedom of expression, and being able to embrace themselves, their sexuality, knowledge, reading, even just basic stuff that now we take for granted, even, puts a threat on your power as a man, as a ruler, whatever, being. And they don't want that. You gotta keep them down. So her being intelligent, powerful, and a knowledge-seeking woman, which especially in medieval times, women's bodies were seen as unstable, and women acquiring knowledge was seen as a way to evil and sorcery. Plus, again, men certainly then, and even now, you could argue some, did not want women to have knowledge, because knowledge,
course
like
not.
I said, is power. Yeah. And women were, of course, unequal. Therefore, her image was changed over time to fit a narrative that was best for the men in power, and of the time, especially in the midst of religious growth and anti-witch rhetoric. So, how do we show other people that this woman is not good, is not someone you should look up to? Oh, let's take her from a
Gorgeous,
incredibly
beautiful
intelligent, gorgeous, powerful being, a healer of nature and people, and warp her into a evil sorceress who is the biggest threat to us and to you as a woman. You don't want to be like her. See, she's super evil. Yes, she might be beautiful, but that beauty is deadly. That beauty means sin. That beauty means being a whore or whatever, what I mean? Promiscuous, demonic, terrible. So, not surprisingly, Morgan's been seen as a powerful feminist figure.
Yes.
Novels like Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mist of Avalon in 1982 depicted Morgan as a Celtic priestess who defended her beliefs against the ever-increasing Christianity.
Yep.
Unfortunately, many contemporary depictions of Morgan Le Fay continue to paint her as beautiful and powerful, but also lustful and dangerous. And I think you guys can probably guess which version I prefer. As a badass healer who connects women to knowledge and nature, but also comes as a surprise to me that, as along with many female legends and even real female historical figures, that Morgan's image and story was manipulated and warped to show women who are powerful, smart, are dangerous and evil. You gotta keep them dumb and in their place, right? So, you know. But I'll start ranting if I heard too much on that, which you guys have trinkles at. Um, but I just really found her to be such an interesting and huge presence, especially in Arthurian lore.
Yeah.
And that lore bleeds out to all kinds of depictions of witches and fae and just it's her reach is huge. Her reach is huge. If you
I
just
mean,
Google it, you can it's
yeah,
humongous. It's insane.
there's actually practicing practicing witches that has her as their goddess. So there's
That does
some
not
people that work
surprise me
with
at
me.
all.
Yeah, there's some people that work with her. Like there's some people that work with her, and so she's pretty popular. Like I said, there's so many versions of her and so many stories of her, and she is always good or evil, and I think that's
Yes.
based on whether it is a man or a woman talking about her, whether it's someone of,
Yes.
like her. I think the demonization of her is often just there because of the fact that she was powerful and she was human and she was intelligent, and they had to find a way to take her down and kick her down, and they demonized
It's a
her, they
yes.
villainized her, and you know,
A lot of it comes it boils down to controlling a populace, right? It boils down to controlling where your power goes. Um, just like I said, it's not specifically this is women, but anyone you don't want to stand up for themselves, you don't want them to realize that they have autonomy, that they have knowledge. Knowledge is power. There's a reason people burn books. There's a reason why people do propaganda and why people brainwash, right? It's all power. It's a power play. It's a way to restrict a populace to keep them in their place. Because if they are not in their place, they threaten your power. And humans historically do not like to share power. They can say it's for God, they can say it's for whoever, but ultimately it is human greed that leads to it. If there is a God, a Christian God, whatever you believe in, they're very likely the opposite of that, right? They're very likely not power hungry. They're very likely not, they would frown upon keeping entire populaces suppressed and hurting them. And, like with Birdie's topic, the Salem witch trials, they would not look kindly upon being like, you know what? You got a weird mole. Let me hang you up real quick. Like it's not how, in my opinion, it would be. I'm a non-religious human being. I don't have any particular religious beliefs. I kind of just believe in the universe itself. It's kind of hard to believe, and I'll spiral if I go into it. But if I did have to pick a specific category, it would be witchcraft, paganism, something of that nature,
oh
right?
yeah,
Because in my mind, I'm a big advocate for, evolution, science, things like that, but also Earth, the planet itself
yes,
is what the sun gives us life, the earth gives us life. Animals, water, all those things give us life. We are a part of the universe.
yeah,
You cannot destroy matter. You can only manipulate it. We are matter. So, and to for anyone to put themselves above someone else, woman, person of color, someone of their sexuality is inherently disgusting to me, because no one is better than someone else unless that person is a massive, piece of shit who is using their position or their power to hurt others. That is the only time where I see someone as is if they are intentionally going after other people for literally no reason other than gender, than sexuality, than who they love, who they are, the color of their skin. If you are that kind of person, you might be lesser in my mind. But it's not because of what you look like or who you love or how
It's
you
not
identify,
because of a
because
religious
of who you
anything.
hate.
Yeah.
No, you can be
It's
whatever religion you want. I am all for that. But don't suppress people. Don't hurt people. Don't cause death and suffering because of your beliefs.
yeah.
It disgusts me, but I'll spiral. I'm sorry.
It's
That's
okay.
my little tangent there.
No, it's
I'm just
okay.
saying,
Like I
we're
said,
all human beings. We're all flesh and blood. You know, we should embrace intelligence. We should embrace uh people, each other,
yeah.
instead of a constant circle in history. Again, history is a flat circle of power hunger and trying to hurt each other, and it makes me so confused.
Yeah.
It makes me very, very confused and
I know.
upset,
Yeah.
because it's not fair.
This is why I was saying in the very beginning of this whole thing is it's going to get really emotional in this episode.
Yeah.
It's going to be because of the injustice of it all, because of the fact that, you know, we are, we ourselves are women and we have had our journeys in life
Yes.
as women, and we are, we are speaking from experience, speaking from our own fears and from the things that we're seeing, and this is going to get really spicy. We're going to get spicier in the
Mm-hmm.
Ghoulish Bites. So
Yeah.
do you have anything else you wanted to say to close up with
Yes.
Morgan Le Fay? If continue.
So we're just gonna touch a little bit about her in modern media.
Perfect.
So as I said, even in modern times, Morgan has appeared mostly as conventionally villainous roles, often in cahoots with Arthur's bastard son, therefore, a son that he had out of wedlock, not to his wife. When I say that, I don't mean like he was a bastard. I mean like the historical term bastard child, you know what I mean? Um, like in films like 1985's Merlin and the Bird, that's how they're depicted. 1999's Arthur's Quest, she's also depicted as using her sexuality as a chief vehicle for her manipulation of others.
Yeah.
Notable examples of this are in two comic books created by Marvel and DC. Marvel's was published in 1955 called Morgan Le Fay, Fay. And DC also published one, let me see here, called Morgane, Morgane, Le Fay with an E instead of an A, spelled slightly different, but this was published in 1972. So both Marvel and DC have their own version.
Oh,
Interesting.
Which I thought was really cool.
that's actually really cool.
And she's actually appeared in modern works of Marvel and DC as well. I think I didn't note it, but if I remember reading correctly, it was like 2014, somewhere around there. Both of them have probably even more recently than that. But I mean, that's not shocking though, because I feel like more take a lot from different gods.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
So
like I said, she's really popular. She's really popular.
absolutely, yeah.
Extremely well, like, everyone knows a specific version of her, and
which I didn't even realize that I knew her until I started doing research, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I remember seeing this, because I had no idea but I knew of her without realizing that I knew. I feel like a lot of people do without realizing that's who that is. And again, it was super ironic that Volker started playing a game that revolved around this, while I'm literally
exactly
He started talking about Arthur and Merlin. I was like, and he was like, I'm in Avalon. I was like, wait a fucking minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How does this always happen?
Connection.
Yes, it's connections with your topics and Birdie's and just anyone in our podcast. Somehow the connection loop around, and then also with Volga, I was just like, this is crazy. What a coinkydink.
It just means that this was a time like
Meant to be, man.
this was determined to happen the way it's supposed to
Yep.
happen. And I've always talked about this, like when we try and not really think about like anything, we just give them like, oh, this is what our topic's going to be, and then we find something semi in the same category as the other person. Sometimes we do completely different topics, but most of the
And
time
somehow they still connect,
we
though.
find
And
connection.
it's crazy.
I'm a strong believer
Absolutely.
that you're exactly where you need to be in your current timeline right now.
I can get
If
behind that.
everything around
Absolutely.
you is lining up so fluidly and tying in so fluidly, I just believe that you're going in the right direction of whatever your story timeline of that life is. So they're like little symbols that just come popping up saying,
Yes.
hey, you're doing good, you're going, yep, keep going, that's the way, like little indicators that you're going to where
Absolutely.
you need to be to get to where you're supposed to be in
Little
the end,
breadcrumbs.
you know?
Yeah.
So I
Nihon,
think it's so
yes,
cool.
that is absolutely. She's
Yes.
always depicted as a powerhouse. Like,
Yes,
she
she
is
is.
a beast, good or evil. She is fucking powerful. And depending on which version you're looking at, they use that as a good thing. She's a powerful healer or a powerful
Well,
sorceress.
Merlin is known as like a very powerful, like the most
Yes.
powerful wizard, right?
She's been his apprentice in a many
But
Merlin.
Merlin also is afraid of her. You know what I mean? So for
Yes.
someone to be known as the most powerful, to have fear and concerns for Morgan
Yes.
LeFay, then it's just, it says something about that character and their strength.
Absolutely. But she's most often an antagonistic character in for Arthur, Merlin, and their followers to overcome to save Avalon. In 1981's Excalibur, a film adaptation of Le Morte d'Arthur, an evil Morgana Le Fay, played by the Helen Mirren, meets her end at the hands of Mordred, her son in the film, instead of accompanying Arthur to Avalon as she did in a lot of source materials.
Yeah.
And also, Mordred is often depicted as Arthur's bastard son, so that also differs in that story. He's her son, not Arthur's son.
Well, there's a theory. This is why I said there was a theory. Like, there is some that is like, even though they're half sisters, there was a point of
little
incest.
incestuism.
And what was his name again? You just said it, and I completely forgot.
Mordred.
Mordred. So with Mordred, he is the child of Morgan and Merlin, and it's due to them being used as puzzle pieces in the great scheme of the religion, of like the fighting of religions between the pagan belief system to the Christian. Like, it was like they were like, whatever happens here is what's gonna determine the future of what religion becomes prominent and known, and what religion gets forgotten. So more
like you.
Yeah.
I cut out a lot of the incest stuff, but there was quite a bit of lore that depicts her and Arthur as half siblings or siblings, but still doing the dirty and having like a love square, like Grim said earlier, with Lancelot and Guinevere. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I think we could trim the fat there and not talk so much about the incest. But yeah, that's definitely, unfortunately, it's super common thing that happens in a lot of old stories and gods,
back
and
in the day,
Egyptian,
it's how they did stuff.
how they kept the bloodline.
It's how they kept power. So because it was all a play for power and the best way to keep power, and so it was a very common practice. Like, it was like, because it was for the family and it's for power.
There's a very famous, I want to say, British family that are known for their chins because of how inbred they were. I forgot what it was called. There's like a specific term for it. But they had big old crimson chins, and it's because they were incredibly inbred to keep the power in Britain.
Like, it's unfortunately, it's part of history. It is a part of history. Incest was something that was in history, unfortunately, and still happens to this day, but but more hush hush about it than before.
Yeah.
But before, it was a common practice for power plays to use
Yes.
your family as puzzle pieces to gain the most power. I'm pretty sure that's why chess probably came to be. I don't know, but yeah.
But even though she's more often than not depicted as an oversexed villain, there are some depictions that show her as a sympathetic, ambiguous, or even entirely positive protagonist of a story. One notable story was Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mist of Avalon in 1983. We talked about that earlier, a novel that was later adapted into a TV miniseries. Other
Merlin.
positive depictions, yep. Other positive depictions include Mary Pope Osborne series, The Third Magic in 1988, Faye Sampson's Daughter of Tintagel in 92, and Felicity Pullman's I, Morgana, among some of the others not listed here. There's a lot. There's actually a whole list on Wikipedia, which you can go look at, which list different media sources that also cite whether Morgan Le Fay is good or evil. So it says the name and the date of the show, movie, book, and it'll say like evil, good, evil, good, evil, good. You know, it depicts literally a huge list of pop culture, modern things, some older things, and it tells you if she's good or bad because there's just so goddamn many,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Literally
so
the
many.
Crimson Chin ass people. Big old fucking chins. And there is a lot of media with her in it. But as I said, I certainly see why she's a feminist icon. And honestly, she got done dirty
She
with
really
how she's
did.
mostly portrayed.
But that makes her even more relatable to women
Yes.
because it's still a
Makes
problem
her, yeah.
to this day. And
Yes.
that's
And
why
that's why
she
she is a feminist
so
icon.
relevant. That is why she
Yes.
is so popular, is because she literally symbolizes the struggles of being a woman still
Yes.
to
Of
this
femininity.
day.
Yes.
Of just being a feminine energy, and how for some reason just like feminine, like just anything feminine makes some people so angry, and you're just like,
Yes.
why do you hate women? Why? I
Yes.
don't understand. Is it because you are intimidated by their power and you can't accept it? Because it seems like it. Oh,
Absolutely.
my
Absolutely.
Lord.
It's the fear of losing power over believed to be objects. And like I said earlier, there's way too many depictions and things of her for me to go into today. But I really wanted to touch on her because I thought, wow, what a fucking bad bitch. I really liked her. I really like her story. I like that she's a bad bitch. But I do prefer the stories where she's depicted as a empathetic healer and a badass witch of nature, of earth, and of women, and of femininity. Like, she's a badass healing mathematician who is an apprentice of Merlin. But that, my good witches, is Morgan Le Fay.
I loved it. I am so excited that you covered her. Of all the choices you could have made, the moment I saw the topic you chose, I don't think you understood the scream that I screamed within me, because I was so excited, because I love everything about her. I don't care if she's depicted as bad or depicted as good. I love her. Like, I absolutely
I had a feeling you'd
love
like
her.
her.
I was obsessed with her growing up too. Like, she is fantastic. Oh my god, she's great. I'm fangirling, and yeah, there's just something about her that I just, like I said, every depiction I've ever seen of her, love,
She's a bad bitch.
respect. It's just crazy. Like, she's a wonderful character, person, like goddess, one of those. But do you have anything else to add, or do we want to go ahead and take our break and then get set up for some Ghoulish Bites? Okay,
sounds
so
good to me.
We're gonna do our last ad break for the night. Grab you guys some water, use the bathroom if you can. We'll be back in about 3 minutes, and we're gonna go ahead and go into the Ghoulish Bites, and we're probably gonna get spicy there. So I love y'all. We'll see you guys real soon. Guess what time it is? It's time for some Ghoulish Bites. Trick or treat!
Come on in. Have some late night treats for the mind of the spooky ghoul.
Can you hear me just fine? Good. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics that we covered today. We covered Bastet, we covered the Salem witch trials, and we learned about, we covered about the very popular witch named Morgan Le Fay. And I really do hope you enjoyed that topic, like all the topics, especially Miso's topic. That was a good one. That was a really, really good one. Really fun. I absolutely am obsessed with Morgan Le Fay, so I have like a strong, her story is just a story that's so perfect for a time like this. I'm still waiting for them to get back into the VC, so once they get back into it, we'll jump in there. But I hope you guys had fun. Did you guys have any input on any of the topics that we covered today? And did you guys have some stuff that we missed that you wanted to bring up? Go ahead and bring it up in the chat. I'll read it out loud. And let's go ahead and say hi to them in the VC. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, my dear.
Hello.
Hello, Birdie. Are you still awake, my love?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we had the witchiest episode yet. And
We sure did.
I actually loved the topics that we covered. And like I said, I really found this to be a very important episode.
Oh, I agree.
Especially for our climate nowadays, with everything going on with politics and how trans rights, it starts with trans rights and then it just goes on and on and on until everybody's rights are being fucked with, right? And so,
there's a saying, they came for me in the light, the dark, which is literally essentially what you just said. They start with marginalized communities, but it's not just, it definitely affects them more, obviously, in the time, but it spreads. It becomes a wider net.
A common thing that is going on right
Matters
now
for all
is I didn't think it would happen to me. And I'm all
right.
I didn't think it would happen to you, so you didn't care. But even you knew that happening to you would be a problem and would be something that you have a problem with. And yet you're okay
before it happens.
To allow someone else to not have the same rights that you want, like you have. It's just it's just
literally
the most annoying thing about this whole situation is there's a lot of people that aren't feeling the effects of what's happening because they aren't there yet, but it'll get there, and it's going to be too late. It's going to be way too late.
Yep.
So for me, I've been, how do I explain this? As much as I've enjoyed my spiritual journey and I'm finding my better self, it hasn't stopped me from being angry. It hasn't stopped me from doom scrolling on my devices, worried about what's going to happen to my future. I am someone who, is not fully white. I sometimes pass as white. Yeah, a lot of people see me as white passing, yes. But, I don't feel safe in this climate. And even though I'm white passing and I don't feel safe in this climate, anyone else that is darker toned than me, if I'm this scared being who I am, imagine how they would all feel, is how it's coming off to me, And so it's just it's terrifying. And so would you be considered a first generation if your family came here and you were born here as a first generation citizen?
Yes.
I would say so, yeah.
So I'm a first generation, baby here, which is, which it's, I was raised in the Philippines, and I was raised with completely different perspective in life, with a different knowledge in life, on top of me being super sheltered and being thrown into religion. Coming here was a culture shock to me, and learning about all the bad things that I had no idea about growing up and how horrifying some of these things are. It opened my eyes a lot, and that's when I started drifting away from my religious upbringing, is because of being exposed to history and what has happened in history, and me coming from a perspective of someone that had no idea to being someone that came here and learning about it with when you already have a better understanding of what humanity should be. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
goodbye oceans, thank you for coming in. And so
Ocean, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, go ahead.
I have been like working on myself this year. I've taken a lot of time on myself, but it has not stopped me from watching what's going on in the news, watching my social media, watching my feed. And I needed something to give me some kind of chance to take out some of my anger, like my strong emotions, like finding
Hmm.
a way of putting my angry, stressed energy into something. And so this episode became really important because of what it means and what it really stands for, you know? And one of the
Mhm.
shirts that was off that has been going on all over my feed is like, you didn't burn witches, you burned women. And
Yes.
like it's just it just felt like this is the time to do this. Like like it's a way for us to get some of our energies that we've had built up all year long, you know, and finding a way to release some of that stress, some of that anger in a more positive way than just being angry, you know, is
Hmm.
talking about it, getting people who had no idea about these educated on it. It's just
Yes.
a source for us to, an outlet for us to relieve some of that. So this episode was really important because of that. And I really appreciate both of you for being here
Appreciate
and
you and Birdie.
like
Of course.
covering what you guys covered, and it really hit the nail on where I wanted this episode to go. You know, I
Yeah, no, that
wanted,
Absolutely.
makes sense.
and I'm just like, I've been emotional this entire, as you guys, I've been on and off crying this
Yeah.
entire time. And yeah, so I really appreciate that
We embrace
you
the
guys did
feelings
this.
here. You know that.
Yeah. And what was your perspectives in coming into this episode? Were you guys in the same wavelength as me, or was
Oh,
like
absolutely.
did you become more and more aligned with my thinking the more you read and the more you learned about the injustices that happened, the more it probably like made you think, "Oh, this is so relevant for today." You know?
So, not even particularly today. I've been right there with. See my Facebook. You see my my doom posting. But as a child, I'm a white woman, right? I grew up around a lot of white people who um had not such great views. And something that I learned growing up was that those views were fucked up and they were wrong. This is not all white people. I'm not casting everybody in the same light. But in the way that I grew up, I learned that you have to unlearn hate. You have to unlearn the bullshit that is pumped into your mind sometimes. You have to broaden your horizons. You have to find out who you are as a human being, not who you are from the perspective of
What you're expected
the,
to be.
yes, the people around you, the ignorance that is thick and all around the world, not even just in America, but specifically here today, even. You see it coming back. It's never gone, it was hidden. And now it
Mhm.
is more forth than it has been for a long time, but it's been there and it's festered and it makes me very angry to see people like you said that don't care because it doesn't affect them. I'm gonna cry because I'm pissed off.
Water sign
It
thing.
makes me
It's a water sign
it
thing. We are water,
pisses me off.
and when we're angry, we cry. It's
Yeah,
it's
and
it's it's hand in
yeah.
hand. We are water. We
It's
literally
not
are
even just,
water.
but say it's not even sadness. It's anger. It's anger. It's frustration. I'm so angry and frustrated that people have to wait for something to touch their lives for them to give a shit about other people. That empathy is seen as weakness, wokeness, whatever. It's not. It's giving a shit about the human race. It's giving a shit about your fellow man. Why why do people want to see others suffer? Because they don't understand them, because they are not the same skin color as them, because they don't like the same people in a sexual manner, or they don't display themselves as the same as them, or the same religion. It doesn't matter, whatever your cup of fascism is. Why? I cannot comprehend it. And it gives me like these weird brain tingles because I literally just cannot understand. I can't understand why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why? Why do you care? Why do you care? Why are we why? And it's a global issue. It's an issue we see rising all over the again, and it very much chimes into, and this is not the only time, but the Nazi regime, things of that nature, and that is not the only genocide that's happened or is happening in the world, but it does ring true to it, and it hurts my heart on a very deep, depressing level that we allow ourselves to be in an endless cycle of hate. And most of it comes down to fake religious beliefs, in my opinion. Not the religions themselves are fake, but the beliefs in which you're pushing and propagating onto others
The,
are.
the thing that
It's what you
yeah,
want.
it's the thing that I am really annoyed about. This is why a lot of people don't have a good perception of Christianity right now, is because there is the wrong people who are picking and choosing which parts of this book they will follow.
Yes.
It was brought up during a oh my god, it just happened where they had a hearing. Trump and the administrations had a meeting, right? And they had a meeting that was set up for a Sunday. And one of the guy pointed out, like, in the Bible, it says that people aren't supposed to work on the Sabbath, and if they do, they are to be stoned to death according to the Bible, right? And
Right.
so they were like, shouldn't we change the hearing dates to a different date so that it doesn't fall on the Sabbath, right? That's what they were mentioned. And they kind of just like glazed over it, and it just was like the most apparent, and like it definitely showed that they're picking and choosing what parts
It's
of the,
always been that
you know
way.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
And but like it being displayed so openly in front of everybody
Yes.
that was watching, it just was so infuriating because it was so evident, and like they aren't even hiding the fact that they're picking and choosing what part
Yeah.
of their religious book, sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful, but like what
No, I
what
mean,
they
it's,
see as a sacred Bible for us
yeah,
is a
it's a book.
book that you
Yes.
follow, but you're forcing us to follow that. And you're not only are you forcing us to follow that, but if we follow that, we're like, well, why does it say this here, but you guys are doing this? Shouldn't you guys be following?
Yes.
It's just, it's just so hypocritical. And
And like you said, I mean, you pick your flavor depending on what part of the world you're in. Whatever religion is the populist religion, there is what is you pick and choose from to suppress people. And again, that is, I am all for people following their religious beliefs, as long as you don't use that as a weapon to hurt people. who don't follow it or who follow it differently. And even I took a note earlier when we were talking about cats. So during the Black Plague, even even cats were discriminated against. That's how ridiculous humans can be. Cats were sought out because people were dying of the Black Plague, and they said, "Oh, it was witches. It's witchcraft. It's witches doing this." So they sought out cats and they annihilated them. They killed the shit out of the cats.
Which I think
Yeah,
is
like-
And
so.
you know what got worse?
Which I think is so stupid because you know the whole purpose of of cats being worshipped. You know the whole
Yes,
point
they kept
is
you
because
safe
they kept
from
your house
disease.
safe from disease because they would hunt the
Mhm.
mice, rats that carried the
The fleas. And that's literally what happened is after they went and annihilated all these cats, the Black Plague spread even more rapidly because nothing was controlling the mouse pop, and
Bustet's
the
like
mice were carriers
Bustet's
of
like
fleas
yeah,
that carried
she's
the
just
Black Plague.
Bustet's like, you know what?
Mhm.
Fine. You guys are gonna die of the plague. Fuck you guys. You just
Yeah.
killed all of my cats. Oh no. No, you guys can
And it's
deal with
not
I was trying to help.
yeah, and it just shows you how people will use religion or use whatever when they're scared or just angry or they want control, whatever it might be at the time. And they'll go as far as killing random animals because they're associated with witchcraft. And it's like, and it wasn't even just cats. They also
Bats.
blamed Jews. Well, Jews at the time were burned at the stake during the Black Plague, allegedly for causing the Black Plague. All kinds of crazy nonsense when it all boiled down to fleas. And it was just so silly. And it just, I don't know.
You know what?
It
Okay,
blows my
you
mind.
know what this is sounding like? You know what all of what you just said is sounding like? It's sounding a lot like what's happening right now.
Again,
In
flat circle.
you
History
know
is
what
a
I
flat
mean?
circle. Flat circle.
Um
And it doesn't matter the part of the world, it doesn't matter the religion. It all boils down to people. People using whatever they can to control things they don't understand, things they don't like. That's all it is.
and Birdie.
Yes.
I just want to see you see me and Miso's plight in this whole thing, and I just want to hear your perspective coming from someone who is a not just a woman but a trans woman specifically. You know what I mean? And
Of
how
course.
you personally, like you are personally being attacked right now because of what is being happening. Your rights are being taken away. So um I want to hear your perspective coming from someone who is basically first in line for attack, you know?
Yeah.
I it's funny. I have I have never in my like mind you, my lived experience, while not completely unique, will never will never amount to something that I can always say. Oh God, I'm trying to like find the words. Um, it's funny because I have always lived in a kind of idea that I am not only targeted, but will be picked out at the very first instance. And it was never at first it like and mind you, there's always been something wrong with me. That was the first lesson that I was taught when I was a kid, that there will always be something wrong with me. And it's not my fault. Never has been. Um I was of course growing up as I did, um like I was taught not only by my peers but by my mother and by the adults in my life that like you're different. something's different about you, which makes you a target, which makes you easy to pick on. And as I got older and as I learned more, I learned what it meant to be Black in America. And that was, it's funny to me because when I look up things like the Salem witch trials and I look at things where women in particular are persecuted, I get reminded that persecution is not just for like people of color. It's not just for autistic people or queer people. Persecution is for anybody deemed unfit. And one of the things that I find, it's funny because for me at least, like obviously you two are angry, you're crying, you're passionate, you're feeling very strong emotions. I don't feel that. And for me at least, I don't have that same connection with those strong emotions as you two do. And it's not because I it's not because I can't feel those.
It's
It's that for me, I'm disconnected from it.
yeah, because
I
you've been dealing with this pretty much all your life.
Yeah.
What we're feeling right now is something that
You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't
you
have to be the one to feel it.
yeah, like what we're feeling right
yeah,
now, the
it's
rage that we feel right now, like you have felt that since the beginning of, you know.
oh, yeah,
So for
yeah,
you, yeah, you're
it's
not crying and emotional because you are literally living and like it's a constant for you. So when things
it's
become
Yeah.
a
such a
constant
yeah.
for you, it becomes something that you get used to that you shouldn't get used to.
And the
So
Yes.
thing
yeah,
is, and like the thing is, at least for me, yeah, it's a constant, and yeah, like, and it's funny you said that, doctor, that I shouldn't be used to it. But the thing is, what the thing is, shouldn't is a term that I've always like that like whenever people are like you shouldn't be used to feeling on edge. For me at least, I sit here and I'm just like, but
Your
that's
norm.
all like
Yeah.
that's the norm. On edge is the norm. I live in a reality that at any day I could just get shot. Like I could die. And I have made my peace with my own, like I've made my peace with my own mortality. That's one thing that I had to do very early on. I had to make my own peace with my own mortality. And it's why I don't go out to protests. It's why, like, if I boycott, I boycott quietly. I don't announce. Like, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram as much. I'm barely on any social media, to be
Are you at
honest,
all?
because as much as yes, I want to like shout from the rooftops, this sucks. Like, history just shows that everything is garbage and we need to change everything. I I have witnessed firsthand the destruction of a community. I have
Right.
seen, like, for me, reading about Salem for me was not was for me it was a fascinating case study, but it doesn't compare to what it doesn't compare to the history that I have both been taught and researched for myself. Like with Salem witch trials, that's publicized. Like you can find papers and research and you can find old books and everything from 400 years ago about that. I don't know who my grandfather is on my mom's side. Like I know my mom's dad. I don't know who his dad is or his mom or their parents. I don't know who my like extended family is on my mom's side of my mom's side. My dad's side, we can trace our roots all the way back to like Britain and Germany and Switzerland and all of that. I don't know who my great grandmother is on my mom's side. And and for me, not only is that the most like that is not only the most damning evidence of why I am so on edge all the time, but it's the fact that like for me it's a very quiet, solemn thing. I am solemn, I'm quiet, I'm still, and I'm just sitting because there's nothing I can do.
And that's why we
I
have to be louder. Like, if you
ex-
can't do
Yes.
it, we have to be louder for you. Like, we have to be, because if we have to. Like, we have to be louder.
exactly
We have to
like
help give you your voice back. We have to. And
and
Well, and historically, Black and trans communities have always carried the burden. They've always carried the torch, the weight, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
it's what exactly, and it's one of those things where it's it's I will when I say it's funny, it's because I can't describe how how my brain understands these things, because for me at least I always found it funny or interesting or odd, because like hearing about Salem, right, made like I read about Salem, I read, I understood, I tried to think about it, and all it did for me reading about Salem, like I read about Salem, and then at least for me, I had to compare it to the documented history of not only potentially my ancestors, but the people who have suffered for generations
yep.
on my mom's side. Like I like I don't want to like get too deep and graphic
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
into it,
yeah. Like, I
but
just
like
wanted to,
yeah, like
I
the
just
best
felt
way I
like,
could describe it
yeah. I
is
just,
I compare Salem to Lake Erie, right? Um, do either of you know much about Lake Erie or the legend
Wasn't it?
surrounding it?
But say it wasn't that a Black community that was flooded out.
It was an entire Black
Yeah.
microcosm. They had their own
Yep.
town, their own economy. They
Happened a
had
lot.
schools, churches,
Mm-hmm.
and the white town nearby decided to tear down the to dam up the river,
Flood
flood
them.
the town,
Yep.
and to this day, you can dive into Lake Erie
And see the
and you can
town. Yeah.
not just see the town, you can find pictures. You can find family photos and memorabilia that they didn't have time to save. And there's a reason why the legend is you don't swim or boat or dive into Lake Erie, because you will get like there is powerful stuff going on over there. But I
yeah.
compare that to Salem,
I
and I
mean,
sit here.
to be
Mhm.
honest, like, how energies work, right? And how there's places that become
Yeah, that
haunted because a lot of like darkness has happened
lots of
there, and that
tragedy.
darkness stains it, right? But then on top of that, water, it actually,
It's a
like,
conduit.
it's a conduit. So it like multiplies the energy in that
Exactly.
space. And so it's so much darker than it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's got a dark energy because of the darkness that's happened there, that is
Hmm.
even more enhanced by the fact that the water is there to you know to just multiply it.
Exactly. And it's like,
Isn't Sorry, go
no,
ahead.
no, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say it didn't like a very similar thing happened to Lake Lanier.
Yes,
Lanier.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lake Lanier and Lake Erie are the two
Mm-hmm.
most haunted lakes in America in comparison to the Great Lakes, which
Right.
that's a whole other thing. But like,
And then yeah, they like you said, there's Salem is and you bring up an amazing perspective because you hear so much about Salem, all these things like that. But I mean, they had Black Wall Street that was destroyed, slaughtered.
Yeah.
You had a whole town block in Boston, and I want to say in like the 80s, that was bombed with a
Yeah.
plane in the United States by
Yep.
our own government, simply because they were part of the civil rights movement. So
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I grew up listening to this history and being told this is important. You need to know this because nobody else will teach it to you.
yeah,
I learned my own history via word of mouth and documentaries written by my own people, right? And the thing is, it's crazy because from my perspective, right? Like when I like seeing the connection that you two have, at least for me, it's strange in a way, and it's not strange in a bad way. For me, it's strange because I remember hearing a lot about like, oh, the divine feminine, like it's the divine feminine, it's the energy that brings all women and witches together, and so on and so forth. And watching as you two like watching as you two like not broke but felt that like that rage and that pain, like it's it's amazing to witness, like it's amazing to bear witness to, because for me at least, like all of that was so normalized that I just kind of like
right.
I was reading through it and it felt like I was just reading a eulogy. Like for me it felt like I'm sitting here, I'm reading the eulogy, I'm reading the like, yes, these are the atrocities that happened. Yes, these are the people who died. Yes, this is the facts. But you but like as I'm reading through it, all of that, yes, that pain and that anger and that sadness, like it hit me. But for me, it hit and I just had to sit there and go, yeah, no,
You're like,
this is
that's
normal.
familiar. You're like, that's
Right?
familiar.
Like I'm just like, this
It's
is very familiar to
you're
me.
all too
Like
familiar with that feeling.
Yeah,
right? Like I'm just like I'm sitting here and I'm reading and I'm just like, yeah, less than a year. That like it takes one wrong like it, oh god. In the words of my grandmother when I was being taught about Emmett Till, it takes one wrong look to set a whole town on fire.
yep,
And so for me, hearing that and hearing that and reading and looking at the testimonies and researching, like, yes, it got me fired up in the way of I'm unearthing something that is ugly. Like this is ugly. This is something that is ugly that I'm begging people to bear witness to. And for me, watching you two grieve something that I've already grieved before,
right.
it's it's like it's not like I'm passing the torch, but it's almost like
But you need to understand that this isn't the first time I've wept
Mhm.
for these people. This is not the
No,
first,
of course.
this is not my first time grieving and feeling the rage. It's just amplified this year. It's just amplified this year because of
Yeah.
everything that's happening. And
I
so,
think I just think it goes to show you how drastically different each one of our perspectives has been. And for
Mhm.
me, I come from a place of privilege. I do. Not because I was wealthy growing up or anything of that nature. It's because I'm a white person. I have white privilege. It's a real thing. I don't care. I don't care what people say. I'm not going to argue with people. And like you said, Birdie, I could you could throw a stone, hit a story about Salem, hit a story about white tragedy, right? It's written all over the walls. It's taught in
Mhm.
schools, but things that are like Black Wall Street, the Tuskegee experiments, Emmett Till, these things
Mhm.
are buried in the dirt because they don't want you to see. They don't want you to know. And I think that's, it's a huge different perspective. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something I was taught growing up. These are things I learned as a 20s. Now I'm 32 and I'm still learning about these horrible fucking atrocities. And you had to live with them. You had to bear the weight of them. So I completely understand that. I don't understand it. That's, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
won't be able to understand. I can never
It,
understand it.
yeah, and the funny thing about it, and I say it's funny. And I already explained how my brain
Right.
uses words. But the funny thing about like the whole Emmett Till thing like and like seeing it from different perspectives, one of the biggest things for me, at least, that has been happening just this year has been the erasure of history.
Yes.
Because I love history. For me, history is something that everybody needs to like look up and study and learn.
You should
And
learn.
for me, the Salem witch trials was just me getting a chance to dig history up again and
Yes.
look into it again. And the thing is, I kid you not, I was I kid you not, I remember I was sitting and I was talking with a friend of mine for a little while. And we had been talking about how this quote unquote DEI purge
Oh my God.
had been like sweeping through and erasing a ton of stuff. And one thing that happened recently, and I will never forget it, there was a like so I don't know if either of you have ever dealt with a situation as similar, like as what I'm about to describe has happened before. Um, I have witnessed, and I witness it almost every day. And it flabbergasts me sometimes. There was a there was this show or something going on this where these African American ladies were like just being catty with each other. It's like a reality TV show. And one of them insulted the other by saying, "You look like Emmett Till." And everybody who watched that show who was African American pulled back and was like, "Whoa, what the hell did you just say? Like, where did that come from? Like, you can't just say stuff like that." And her response was, "I don't even know who Emmett Till was." Like, and I sat here and it's one of those things where like watching my community tear at itself constantly because of the fact that it was not only built not only is my community not only is my community built on literal sand. We were given nothing but sand to build ourselves up on, and so we built ourselves upon it. But we're cannibalizing each other because that's what the government wanted. Like that's what the people
Yeah.
in power wanted, was for us to cannibalize each other. And it sucks. It sucks so much because I remember like
But
mhm,
yeah, those strategies that you're just mentioning are feeling a little too familiar right now.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like it's even happening within like the LGBTQ. Like I kid you
Yes.
not, I remember when I first heard
I mean, it's gotten
LGB note
it's
like
gotten further than that because now it's gotten to the entire country is divided
yeah,
into two very big difference and very big communities, like two giant like groups of people. One
yep,
that it's just it this has got like it's gotten so bad that it's divided not just people of skin, not just people of color, but people of actual like what is good and what is bad. Like the division of the country is so prominent right now. Like and it's working because people are hating each other. People are like forgetting, like things are being passed because people are so focused on their hate towards the
Hating
other
one another.
political
Yep.
party. And so while all this fighting's happening, a bunch of crap is getting passed behind the people that are
Yes.
fighting. And it's happening right now, and people are just, there's people don't even know, and people that know don't care, and people that care can't do anything about it. It's like, what the fuck? We need
That is a notorious, very deeply rooted historical tactic. If you can divide everyone against each other, they can't stand against what's actually wrong.
and it is why it is
My-
so important right
Mhm.
now that we stay connected. It is so important right
yes.
now
Yeah.
to keep each other human
Knowledge
in our
is
eyes. Like, it is
power.
important to see everyone as human in our eyes. It is the most important time to see everyone, not by their race, not by their color, not by their gender, not their gender identity. It is literally that they are human. Like, we need to come together and realize these are humans, human beings, and humans' lives that are being destroyed. You are like, it's it is so like I said,
Empathy is not weakness, it's strength. Knowledge is strength. And seeing, like, for example, gay people discluding trans people
I hate
within
that.
our own community disgusts me. That you are not safe because you are sucking up to the people who are discriminating against trans people. They will come for you, and it should not matter that they're not coming for you, yet they will. You should care about other people. That's all that should happen. We are all human beings. It really doesn't fucking matter
We all have to
what
exist in this world, and
what you feel, and the fact that we want to, like Birdie said, erase history when we
Bad
were
idea.
finally deciding to actually acknowledge it. A really famous example I can think of in school that I thought about when I learned George Washington's teeth actually were.
Slaves. Slave teeth.
Yes, they weren't wooden teeth. He had horse and slave teeth. You know what I
What-
mean? It wasn't, he wasn't some good, nice man. It's very, for lack of a better term, and a very accurate term, really, whitewashed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
it matters. It fucking matters. It's not to make you feel white guilt. It's to make you realize we shouldn't repeat the mistakes that we just keep on repeating. Is to acknowledge
And that's why I'm
the
so
wrong and
that's-
injustices of the world.
and that's why I'm so angry about the fact that I am just so angry about the fact that that they are trying to erase history from the books, and like the next generation that we've got going on right now. I'm Generation Z, are they? Like,
Alpha? Yeah,
Alpha.
Alpha is the
An
newest.
alpha.
Yeah.
Z and Alpha. Like, I am impressed with a lot of what I've seen and how much they are, like, how much better they are as people in understanding that people are people. Like, they're they understand consent more, they understand boundaries more, and they understand what is right and what is wrong, and they understand that just because everybody says it's right doesn't necessarily mean it's right. You know what I mean? Like that.
Mhm.
And I do hope that, like, that happens, but what's making that, like, get better is because we're learning from our mistakes, and that's why the
Knowledge.
next generation is better, and the next generation is better. And so to delete history of all the wrongdoings we have done as a country, and to not inform our kids that, hey, this is why this isn't good, and this is why this didn't work. I feel like that is so important. That is so important for our growth. That is so important for our development in thinking. It is. And so it's so frustrating that history is trying to be manipulated yet again,
Repeats itself.
so that they can try and bring back the next generation of kids to the hateful bigotry that they have going on. And it's frustrating and disgusting and infuriating.
I I love you both. I really do. Um, one of the things that one of the things that I have learned throughout my entire life, especially when it comes to times like these where everything kind of seems like it's burning down, is that yeah, you can get mad, you can get angry, you can get upset, you can get loud, you can cry, you can do whatever you need to do. Feel your emotions, but at the same time, you cannot dwell in those emotions.
And you cannot give up.
It's
We can't give up.
there is no giving up here.
No.
Like if you are listening, if you're listening to this and you're hearing my soft,
Ozzy.
sweet crooning
Hold on, you guys.
voice, if you are hearing the sweet croons of my voice, um, there is no giving up. There is no stopping. You can feel your emotions. You can feel, yes, it'll feel crippling. Yes, it'll feel like everything is breaking down around you, but you can't stop moving forward. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep moving. You have to keep progressing. One of the things that I like to do, especially in a situation like this, where we are very emotionally charged and everybody's feeling very strong emotions here, is one fun little thing that I like to do is called the good news report of the hour, where I think of at least 3 fun good things that have happened recently. They don't even have to be big. I'm gonna say a few big ones because I think they're fun.
Yes.
Um,
Do it, please.
End this on a good note.
First and foremost, it has been scientifically proven that giving children HRT actually improves their lives by the Utah Gender and Health Studies. The Utah Gender and Health Studies laboratory at their current college. Second fantastic fun little thing for all of you to think about is the fact that let's see here. Oh, here's a fantastic one.
The one of
Did you know that Elon Musk got into a fist fight and lost with the Treasury? With the guy who runs the Secretary of the
I
Treasury.
did. Well, he said
Punched
it was
him in the
his
face.
son.
He claims it was his son.
His son,
No,
yeah.
it was the Department of Treasury. It was the Secretary of the Department of Treasury, and he gave him a black eye. Oh, and here's a third one. Here's a third good thing. The final thing that's gonna lead us off probably for the night. And I want y'all to think about this. Hey, you just listened to a podcast for approximately 5 hours about supernatural fun stuff, felt very strong emotions, and are still breathing. Congratulations! There's oxygen in your lungs. There's plants
Yay!
living somewhere around you. You are still alive. You are still here. You will continue to be here. And I will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Yes.
There's
We
one
love you,
more.
Birdie.
There's one more. Hold on. There's one more that's really, really good,
Oh?
but I can't remember the name of the state. But did you guys hear the story of the state that they tried to that they passed a law to ban pride flags from being displayed? And so what the state did is they made
They
a
made
new
the state flag.
Yes.
Yeah!
Which one is that one? Oh my god. It's
Oh my god.
Hold on. I'm trying to remember.
I think it's a town in Texas.
No, I thought it was Salt Lake City. Is it I thought it was Utah.
It might be Utah.
Hold on. I'm trying to remember what
town.
I'm trying to remember what state was it, but there was a state that actually changed their state flag to
Utah and Idaho.
Yes.
Utah and Idaho.
City of Boise.
It was 2 different cities that did it.
Okay, there we go.
Salt Lake City and Boise.
Salt Lake City.
So remember everybody, there's always good news. There's always a light somewhere you can look at.
Yes.
Everything might feel like shit. But there's always something good that we can look at. Like, for example,
that about you.
Like, yeah, thank you. Like, for example, we have Daku's beautiful face with her fluffy ears and beautiful t-shirt. we have Miso's beautiful face with her awesome highlights and her wonderful medallion.
That
And then
was
we have
made by Baguette.
By
Baguette
Baguette.
made that.
that was made by Baguette.
And the
Yes.
earrings.
Another one of our friends.
Yep.
And then we have my doggy ass with this weird ass sock. You can look at it. Don't stare too long. It might blink
2319.
back. I don't know.
2319.
2319.
2319.
And your amazing perspective and your beautiful voice and your amazing just vibe altogether.
I really
I really
appreciate
appreciate that about you because I am
And-
a dweller of
and
bummerness, so I
I-
need your positivity.
can I tell you guys something else that's really cool? Really,
Mm.
really cool. And
Yes,
this is
absolutely.
all through fate. Birdie is our guest for the podcast. And today is May 31st. And these episodes are going to be published during Pride Month.
Hey,
The gayest month of the year.
So
That's right.
we are having this episode get released during Pride Month. So on Spotify,
Fuck
it's gonna be like all of the information is here today, but all these episodes are gonna be published during the month of June. And I just thought that was really, really cool. So things
stars
happen.
align sometimes.
Like I said, I know that we're going in the right direction because things are lining up to what we're supposed. Like if everything's lining up and connected, it means we're still going the right direction to wherever our thing is. And all of us that are here right now was meant to be here and
Mm-hmm.
had a purpose for being here. And I really appreciate you, Birdie, especially you, like,
Aww.
you know, because
Yes.
this was an important episode and I am so happy that of all the people that could have been guests, it was you that could have that came into this, because it and hearing your perspective of how everything is going was absolutely important. And so like I said, I didn't plan, like, you know, I just randomly made a schedule for who's going to talk for each month, and I had a couple people, you know, not be able to show up for the podcast, and the scheduling somehow just ended up having Birdie here talking to us the month
We're so
before
Blessed.
Pride Month. And so it's like things happen for a reason and things
Yes.
align. And the fact that all of this lined up to have you as our guest for this episode specifically, and have all these episodes releasing during Pride Month means, you know, I'm
Yeah.
like, it just means so much more. So I really do appreciate that you were able to do this episode now of
I'm
all
very
time.
happy.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I hope to have you come back again for future episodes, you know.
V, you can't get rid of me now.
You're you are an honorary spooky ghoul like Kate
Oh,
Elegy.
thank you.
You are an honorary spooky ghoul like Kate Elegy. So
And
that
we really do
also-
appreciate you
that-
being here and taking almost 5 hours to
that
bullshit
also
talk with us.
that also comes with the fact that I'll probably flag you down several times to be like, I need you to do a spooky slumber party episode with me. Come on.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
It's a responsibility of being a spooky ghoul, is having to cover for the podcast when needed, or doing a spooky
We're dragging you with
slumber
us.
party.
Also, just FYI, because we have 9 minutes until we're at the 5-hour mark.
Yep.
Just to let both of you guys know, y'all fed me. I don't know what kind of social interaction y'all were expecting. Y'all fed the stray dog. Now y'all gotta deal with. Now you gotta deal with it. Like I'm here.
Oh
You-
no!
You fed the stray Grim. Congrats.
All
Now,
right.
now you're stuck with me.
As I leave
All right.
breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
bring you back.
Let's go ahead and get this set up for a raid so that we don't, go too far past the 5-hour
you
mark.
guys.
But yeah, let's go find someone to raid to,
Are
and
you
then
ready to do our little
we'll
outro?
do our outro. We'll do our outro first. So the way this works, Birdie, is I'll say the first part, and then you say and then Miso comes in with a closer. So, are you ready? Do you want to do a practice,
Gotcha.
or you think you got it? You want to do a practice?
I think I got it. I think
All
I
right,
got
all right. You ready?
Mm-mm.
it.
We'll stay thick.
And
You stay spooky.